ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene. You are back with me again on Durian ASEAN. So, regarding on the breaking news, Putin is serious about entering Syria and not to go after ISIS, interestingly. The regime of the Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is weakening, and one of his primary backers, Russian President Vladimir Putin, is upping the ante. While another updates from the general election in Singapore, a vote for your PAP candidate is a vote for me, my team, and my program. This is according to the current Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. He appealed to voters across the island, not just in his constituency of Ang Mo Kio GRC, for their support during the People's Action Party's lunchtime rally in the city on Tuesday. And speaking for a full hour of 2-hour rally after 8 new candidates and office holder, he said that he called the general election to seek a new mandate at this key turning point in the history of Singapore to take Singapore forward beyond the first 50 years. He gave an overview of what the government, especially the PAP in general, has done over its last term to improve the lives of ordinary Singaporeans, helping the elderly with medical costs via moves like Pioneer Generation Package to helping young families own their own homes and providing new pathways and opportunities for the youngest generation. But the reality is, Singapore is also facing threats such as international terrorism and situation in neighboring countries. The current exchange rate of 3 Malaysian ringgit to 1 Sing dollar might be good for Singaporeans crossing the causeway, but an international loss of confidence in our neighbour would be bad even for Singapore itself. To carry on with our political discussion in Durian ASEAN, campaigning begins for historic Myanmar election. So as we all know, the Myanmar election will be kicking start soon in November, and Myanmar opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi called on the international community to help assure November poll brings genuine political and governmental change as campaign officially kick off in the former junta-run country. And for the first decade, the people of Myanmar will have a real chance to bring about change, and not just any change, but real change. And this is a chance that Myanmar cannot afford to let slip at the people of Myanmar especially. This is what Aung San Suu Kyi said at the English language video message released by her National League of Democracy Party. In a separate Myanmar language message, she nevertheless urged voters to think of the future generation as they prepare to cast their ballots, adding that the party believes it can succeed with the driving force of the people's desire. Other 90 political parties, there's a lot of political parties, are also interestingly contesting in the polls in Myanmar, which is in the throes of a dramatic metamorphosis as reforms sweep investment and opportunity into the long isolated Southeast Asian nation. The National League of Democracy is fielding over 1,000 candidates for elections, slightly more than its main rival, the army-backed ruling Union Solidarity and Development Party USDP. Anyway, I will take a short break. When we return, we'll discuss more on the different areas in Southeast Asia, politics, economy, and socio-cultural.
ASEAN Dailies. First and the foremost news from Southeast Asia.
Good morning, this is Arlene.
Welcome back, this is Grace.
And of course, with us to continue on just a brief discussion on politics in Southeast Asia, no land clearing by burning next year. This is being vowed by Jokowi, according to the news that, the whole of Malaysia, Indonesia, and maybe a bit of Singapore are facing some kind of haze right now.
Well, that's very true, and then that's when he warned the individuals and the plantation owners in Sumatra not to carry out any land clearing activities by burning the forest from next year. And then the haze has been really, really bad for the past few days, and then Indonesia truly is gonna do something about it. I mean, it has been already announced several times before, even the first haze incident as well. However, this time it looks like Joko Widodo is gonna really put in an action, and it is a legal action that we are talking about, and he's going to do something about it.
Since last year, it has been quite a challenge when it comes to trying to reduce the haze. Of course, countries like Singapore and to some extent even Indonesia have created laws, but the enforcement is rather weak. So in this case, I think President Joko Widodo is really serious about trying to ensure that Southeast Asia haze problem will be deterred some way or another. On another news regarding on Indonesia, the government urged to renew probe into Munir's death.
Yes, and then what's happening was the wife of the human rights, slain human rights defender Munir's Said Talib, it was just the last week, called the President Joko Widodo to establish the independent team to find the mastermind behind this murder of her husband, following the half-hearted investigation conducted by this previous administration over 11 years, and that's really long time. And it was the time that for government to really process this case properly, not just doing just half-hearted in the carrying out the investigations.
I think the intention is really good. It's just that I'm also questioning for the last 11 years. Probably when it comes to evidence, when it comes to those who are suspects for the crime committed, might have changed, might have moved on with their lives. The chances of actually getting into who were the culprit is probably as low as before. So in this case, I'm not optimistic about it, but I think the fact that the wife really wants justice, I really commend the the intention for her to want justice for her husband.
Well, that's very true. And at the same time, it is necessary to see the solution to this case, and it will give the sense of security in society as well. And if this case is not solved in the future in Indonesia especially, it'll be harder to solve cases involving all those activities who are poisoned due to their criticism of the government performances, and also the with other reasons as well.
Yeah, so it's really important for the Joko Widodo administration to prove that they are more efficient than the previous government. So talking about efficient in solving crimes, ASEAN immigration chiefs gather in Cambodia to tackle cross-border crimes. That's interesting.
Yep. Well, security when it comes to in ASEAN region especially, well, other than the strengthening the maritime security, it is also very important to look at the whole regional level. And then Cambodia is here to tackle these cross-border crimes. And it was at the opening ceremony of the 19th meeting of the ASEAN Directors General of Immigration Department, and also head of the Consular Affairs divisions of the Ministries of Foreign Affairs. Cambodian Interior Minister Asar King said he aimed to address this irregular movement of people, illegal migration, and trafficking in persons and labor trafficking.
So really commended ASEAN immigration chiefs for working hard to ensure that our borders are well protected and crimes can be reduced. In other words, I think we should give credit when it's due. So anyway, moving on to the economic side of Southeast Asia.
Right.
Yeah, guess what? Vietnam's visa waiver policy fails to give tourism a strong boost. I wonder why.
Well, it was announced perhaps 2 months ago that Vietnam started waiving visa for tourists from Germany, France, the UK, Italy, and Spain. But those countries, it seems that the policy didn't seem to be working very well. And then the director of the Indochina Services Travel Group, the Fung Dong, he told the Saigon Times online that around half of the clients from these 5 European countries still need a visa.
Wow. So they want to stay in Vietnam for at least 3 weeks, but the exemption period is only 15 days. That's true. I mean, if you're only given 15 days, there's nothing much you can do in Vietnam.
In Vietnam, yeah,
and
for sure.
I can attest to you, Vietnam is such an amazing country. I love the coffee, love the food. It's probably the healthiest cuisine in Southeast Asia. And the country is so huge, just going to one city is not enough. You have to go from the north to the south.
Yeah, that's
Vietnam.
very true. Well, so that's why many other travel companies complain, also mention tourists from the oldest distant markets such as Europe countries, especially Germany and France. And it is true that when you look at the oldest the tourists coming into Vietnam, more than 5 million foreigners visited Vietnam in January to August this period. And also, out of all those 5 countries, the Germany especially and Italy slightly increased by 1% and 4.4% respectively. And then while those from France and UK declined 4.6% to 2.8%. So that's quite a bit of a gap when it comes to tourism visiting in Vietnam.
That's true. And on the other hand, talking about economic zone, Laos economic zone, a casino and illicit trade beacons in lawless playground. So the King Romans Casino is an island of extravagance in the Laotian jungle. Well, I never heard of it. And it's a corrugated green domes arching high above the treetops. There you go. You have a casino in the middle of the jungle.
That's very interesting way of putting it. Well, hundreds of stone-faced gamblers, they go to this gambling site and then they're betting thousands of dollars, hanging on a heavy silence. So they will ask, what do you come here for? And then
you have to say it in an accent.
Yeah. Well, of course, he did shuttle the visitor from the casino to nearby tourist market, and they asked whether they like gamble, they like girls, and what sorts of girls they can choose, either from China, Burmese, or Laos, or Thai, and it is called the King Romans. It's in the centerpiece of the Golden Triangle Special Economic Zone, and it's about a 39 square mile private concession in the northwestern Laos. So in Laos, it looks like, well, out of nowhere, you will see the one casino place.
I know, right? And as the name suggested, it is within the Golden Triangle, the area where Thailand, Laos, and Myanmar meet, which is known for opium cultivation and drug smuggling. It's not really a good place to do business or to even find girls. But yeah, I think they are looking at, the other side of the demand and supply. I don't want to go further on that. So moving on to the socio-cultural side of Southeast Asia, blue ear pig disease outbreak in Cambodia. More than 1,000 pigs have died and thousands of others have fallen ill over the last 2 weeks in an outbreak of blue ear pig disease in northern Cambodia. This is according to government official report.
Well, this means that there will be banned when it comes to pork dishes in Cambodia for some time, because when it comes to disease that is broken out from the animal, it is very serious and also need to be taken into consideration, especially. And the blue ear pig disease in northern Cambodia, it is really need to be it is pretty serious, especially coming from the agriculture side. And also, Tad Vanara, the director of the Animal Health and Production Department of the Ministry of Agriculture, told Kyoto News that outbreak of this disease, as known as PRRS, or in the long term is the porcine reproductive and respiratory syndrome, and which began very recently, which was on August 20th.
You know, I'm really not surprised all these outbreaks happening in Asia Pacific, you know, from South Korea up to Cambodia and even Malaysia at one point. I think we have to look at a bigger picture here. Even in China, I don't have to mention about that, but you have to look at a bigger picture here. I think the way agriculture is being utilized or is being cultivated is really questionable. So I won't surprise weird diseases like this would appear out of nowhere.
But then we still need to find the cause of it to cure the whole solution to this, because when the disease is very transmissible, this among these pigs, it is really threatening to human beings as well in the future. So yes, it is questionable to all the system when it comes to agriculture, but at the same time it is also a matter of the healthcare and the services that are provided in a country as
That's
well.
True. So on the other hand, before we end our news today, I just want to say that hackers spamming YouTube videos with dislikes using hijacked Vietnamese IP addresses. So beware of any Vietnamese IP addresses.
Yes. Well, we are still staying in the Vietnamese news. Well, security researchers, they discovered that these hackers are using bots to spam YouTube channels with significant number of dislikes. And that's very interesting because they're using dislikes in order to deliberately demote these videos ranked by YouTubers' view recommendation system. And then altogether, the bloggers realized that all the dislikes were originating from the same location, and which was in Vietnam. And then Jones suggested that one of his videos, were being deliberately targeted, possibly by the pay-per-click firm in Vietnam, paying people to deliberately repeatedly click on and spam his videos with dislikes.
So I wasn't surprised if Rebecca Black, you know, that song Friday,
Got a lot of dislikes as well.
she'd be like, I know who did this. It's not people hate my music, it's because it's from Vietnamese people.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because there are people who will work for just clicking the dislike on a certain videos, and then all this perhaps the telecom services in Vietnam really needs to look at all these services properly, because you never know, all these hackers will just spreading around and then dislike your videos for no reason.
Right? So there you go. Anyway, thank you very much for listening to us. And of course, you can always go to our website for more information at duranasian.com.
And also we do have our social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. So do leave us feedbacks and download our app, Durian ASEAN app, on your mobile phone, so you can listen to our podcast anywhere.
Stay tuned.